Hey folks, I'm glad you're here. My name is Chris, and this is the Sons of Sever YouTube channel where there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear. Today I'm talking about two very different shoes that are geared towards the exact same goal. We have the Barefoot Ursus on one side, and we have the Notorious Lift Radix on the other side. Categorizing these shoes is kind of difficult because I think I would categorize them as training shoes, as in they are good for training in the gym, but there are some drawbacks to what they're geared towards. They're definitely geared towards straight up heavy lifting, heavy deadlifting, heavy squatting, heavy bench pressing, anything where you need to dig your feet into the ground and have lots and lots of leg drive, and where you don't want to lose any energy, have no energy leaks at the foot. That's what these shoes are for. I think historically, training shoes from companies like Nike, Reebok, Adidas, the list goes on, those shoes have been made to be a jack of all trades, master of none for the gym. I'll roll in some B-roll here of me doing some pretty heavy movements in a pair of Nike Air Pegasus that I used to wear consistently because I got a new pair every year with the sports team that I played for in college. Those were not optimal for the movements I was using them for, and you can see that EVA midsole squishing underneath the load. That is an energy leak. I could probably get more weight up if I wasn't using that specific shoe. So that is the whole point of these shoes. They're meant to be extremely minimal, but still somewhat protective, very grippy as well, allow you to dig into the ground, get really close to the floor, and be in optimal position to lift super heavy weights. The way that they go about doing this is a little bit different because you can tell they are extremely different shoes. So in order to make these shoes go toe to toe, we're going to talk about a handful of different categories. The first one's going to be the sole, then we're going to talk about the stack height difference, the flexibility difference if there is one, the difference in looks, the difference in comfort, and the difference in versatility. If you are interested in jumping to different parts of the video, there are timestamps down in the description. At the end of the video, I will try to give you my best final opinion that I can of these two shoes that I like a lot, and try to figure out which one I would choose if I could only have one, and why, and where one shines more versus the other one. Getting into my first category of comparison, I want to talk about the soles, specifically the grip texture, but also a little bit of the structure. Both of these shoes are extremely grippy, but if I had to give the grippy category to one, I'd definitely give it to the Radix. You'll notice that their patterns are fairly similar. They're both kind of wavy, but I would say the Ursus is more wavy and the Radix is a little bit sharper. The tread depth on the Radix is also a little bit deeper. On the website, it specifically lists that at 1.3 millimeters. If I had to guess, looking at the Ursus, I think the pattern is probably like half a millimeter deep, maybe closer to 1 millimeter, but definitely not 1.3 millimeters like the Radix. The materials of the outsoles also feel very different. The Radix is extremely soft. This could be a downside for the Radix ultimately. The softer a rubber sole is, typically the easier it is to rub chunks off of it over time, meaning that the Ursus is going to have a little bit more longevity to it. But again, if I had to give the category of outsole to one of these two, I think it would for sure go to the Radix. The next thing I want to talk about when comparing these two shoes is going to be the stack height, and it's actually a relatively dramatic difference. The Radix is half the stack height of the Ursus. So the Ursus is 7 millimeters and the Radix is 3.3. They both have insoles. I'm assuming they're about 1 millimeter. They seem pretty thin. So I'm just gonna bump them both up 1 millimeter, 8 millimeters, 4.3 millimeters. Both very, very minimal shoes. Both allow you to really feel the ground and grip it while you're lifting. If I had to give the advantage when it comes to lifting to one of them, when it comes to the stack height, it would definitely be the Radix. I feel like I can dig into the floor a little bit more and feel the ground and connect with it. But when it comes to the Ursus, I think that it's great for lifting, but it's also going to be a little bit more versatile because of that higher stack height. I like both of these shoes for walking, but I kind of like the Ursus a little bit more because the sole, while it is thicker, is also a little bit denser of a rubber. Makes it a little bit heavier of a shoe as well, but it does give you a little bit of security when it comes to going on walks, and I think I just like the amount of ground feel I get from this guy. So if I had to pick a winner, I'd say that on paper, it's a little bit of a tie depending on what you're looking for, but for me, I'm gonna go with the Ursus. The next thing I wanna talk about when comparing these two shoes is going to be the flexibility of each shoe. So I'm gonna roll in some B-roll of these things getting bent and twist around. And the note that I'm gonna make here is that one of these shoes has a more flexible upper and the other one has a more flexible lower. So the Radix, with its extreme thinness when it comes to its outsole construction, has the most flexible lower, but the upper is actually built with some supports in there, some TPU cage supports surrounding the foot, and that's totally fine, but it does take away from the flexibility of that upper. On the other end of the spectrum, the Ursus has that thicker, more dense rubber outsole. The upper is completely suede. It is very comfortable to the foot, very comfortable to the touch, and the upper is super pliable and flexible. Now, doesn't give you a lot of support, but if that's not something that you think that you need, you're gonna really like the flexibility of that upper. Now, if I had to give this category to one or the other, I think I would probably give it to the Radix just because of that outsole construction. It's gonna be an overall more flexible shoe. The next comparison I wanna make is the looks of the shoes. So this is gonna also bleed into the versatility conversation a little bit, but which of these has more casual appeal? This is extremely subjective, and I know some of you are screaming this shoe and some of you are screaming that shoe, but it really comes down to personal preference here. So looking at the Radix, it does have some very casual appeal to it, of just like a traditional casual sneaker. If you can ignore the wrapping of the outsole up around the toe and the side of the foot, I don't think that looks that weird to turn it off, especially the all white version of the shoe has a lot of casual appeal. But there is something about the almost like slipper moccasin-y look of the Ursus, especially that I have it in the high top, that kind of messes with your brain a little bit while looking at it, but it looks so soft and it looks so comfortable, and it is soft and comfortable, but I also think it's a head turner and a conversation starter. And so for those reasons, if I were to choose one of these for going out casually, I'd probably choose the Ursus. I really like the way that it looks, especially in this specific colorway, and I think it could be a good conversation starter if you're out with a group of people. The next category I want to talk about to compare these shoes is going to be comfort. So I want to talk about that in two ways. One is going to be the materials used and how they feel on foot, and the other is going to be the toe boxes. So just looking here on video, you can tell that the Ursus is definitely wider. I can wear the Barefoot Splacer toe spacers, say that 10 times fast, in the Ursus, not have any issues, not have my pinky toe rubbing the outside of the shoe. Can't say the same thing for the Radix. That's not to say that the Radix toe box is not wide enough. It is plenty wide, but if I am pushing my toe splay out, I can definitely feel the outer edge of that toe box. The next thing I want to talk about is materials, and the materials of the Ursus when it comes to comfort definitely win. It's all suede and linen and just feels so good on your foot. That was one of the very first things that I noticed when I tried these on. I was very pleased with that because when you look at this shoe, it looks comfortable to the foot when it comes to the upper, and it absolutely is. So when it comes to the comfort overall of the shoes, I definitely have to give it to the Ursus. The last comparison I want to make is the versatility of these shoes. Which one can fit into more situations? So obviously we're starting with the gym. Both of these shoes are fantastic for weightlifting. If that's all you're looking at them for, you can't go wrong with either of them. But if you're looking to push outside the realm of lifting, then there are some things that you're going to want to consider. When it comes to the Radix, you're going to want to think about how dang thin this thing is. You're not going to want to run in it. I wouldn't say run in the Ursus either, but definitely don't run in the Radix. It's just too dang thin. Not only is that probably going to be damaging to your feet, because odds are good you're running on asphalt or concrete or even a treadmill. It's going to be pretty jarring to your feet overall. But also, the biggest reason why I wouldn't run in this is because you're probably going to run through that thin sole pretty dang quickly. I don't think that this thing is going to be crazy durable in that kind of situation. Playing the same game with the Ursus, definitely not going to run in it, me at least. If you want to run in it, fine. 7mm is not a horrible stack height for running. We did a lot of miles in the Freet Vibe, and that was fine for us. It's 7.5mm with the insole, and we didn't have too much issue there. But this definitely doesn't have as much cushiness as the Freet Vibe. It's pretty much just straight outsole rubber. Now, I will say I think that that rubber could hold up to it. It's going to be a little bit more durable than the Radix, but neither of these is going to be a running shoe for me. So lifting, yes. Running, no. Casual, I think, works fantastically for both of them, depending on your style preference. Now, the one place where I think the versatility gets different is going to be the materials of the shoe. We've already talked ad nauseum about the comfort and the good looks of this beautiful suede on the Ursus, but you don't want to get that stuff dirty or wet. You're going to wreck it forever. So when it comes to getting down and dirty and going out in the mud or walking through dirt or whatever, getting it wet, the Radix is probably going to win in that category. Because of that, ultimately, I do think that the Radix is the more versatile shoe overall. One last little micro difference I want to make between these two shoes is going to be price. The Radix comes in at $99. The Ursus comes in at anywhere from $99 to $120, depending on which version you get, which materials it's made out of, those kinds of things. This brings me to my final opinion of which one would I choose if I could only have one, and that is going to be the Ursus. Now, this is going to be a deviation from other toe-to-toes that we've done, where almost always we choose the most versatile shoe as the winner. Now, the reason why this guy wins is because the place where it loses in versatility is just going to be dirt, just getting it mucky and dirty and gross. I don't want to deal with that when it comes to suede. But for everything else, I would almost prefer this shoe. It's a fantastic lifter because of the stack height. It can also be used comfortably when you are going out casually or just going on walks. It gives plenty of stack height for walking, but has just little enough stack height to be fantastic in the gym. It is plenty flexible for all of my needs. The upper is so freaking comfortable, and it is a dang good looking shoe. If you're interested in checking out the Ursus, we do have an affiliate link down in the description that will take you over to the Barefoot website where you can shop around. That is not to say that I do not like the Radix. I think especially when it comes to price point, this is actually one of the best value barefoot shoes out on the market. It'll be a fantastic lifting shoe for you. It looks really good casually, and you definitely can walk in it and get a really good barefoot experience, but be careful. Not sure how the outsole is going to hold up to wear outside of the gym, and I'm not sure your feet specifically can handle the minimalism of that outsole. Folks, if you liked this video or found it helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. All those things really help us out with the YouTube algorithm. If you're interested in checking out any of the companies that we showcased here in the video, head down to the description where there are links to those companies. If we have discount codes with any of those companies, those will be featured with the links. If you're interested in exclusive behind the scenes content for all of the products that we're working with or helping out the channel financially, make sure to head down to the link in the description that will take you over to our Patreon page. We are doing exclusive content on there that won't be featured on any other platform, including but not limited to things like first impressions videos of products right after we've unboxed them. It is only $1 a month to subscribe to our Patreon, and it really helps out the channel. The first place where we post content with the products that we're working with is on Instagram in the form of unboxing videos. So if you want the most up-to-date information on which products we're currently working with, make sure to go and follow us there. Strava is a really fun social media platform where you can track all of your activity. We track our runs, our trail runs, our hiking, our paddleboarding, our weightlifting, anything that we're doing outside that Strava has a category for. We track it on Strava, and it allows us to showcase the products that we're currently working with and give little mini reviews of them on there. So if you're interested in seeing that kind of content, go follow us on Strava. We will follow you back. We're glad you're here. We appreciate your view. And as always, we will catch you in the mountains.